But a lot of people don't know much about breakdancing or even hip hop. But you started in the 80s and you were the guy in Europe that really people look to as one of the originals. And I was wondering if you could tell everyone listening and myself, why did you embrace this form of expression that started in the Bronx?
Well, it could be a real long story, but
That's all right, we got
let's
time.
make it short. So, well, first of all, I danced, or I loved physical movement, like from a very young age already. I realized that whether I was playing soccer, whether I was playing handball or tennis or whatever, that I realized that very late. Yeah, I realized that I was always more in love with the movement itself and how it looked than that I scored. So I also got into kung fu, and for 7 years I did kung fu, but I always won in kata, yeah, and in form. So the championship itself, like beating somebody up or something, was never my thing. But I liked the way it looked, so I wanted to, like I remember my kung fu master, when he asked me why did I come here, I always said that, oh, I want to fly like the guys in the movies, so that the movement itself and how it looked was always much more important to me than anything else. And I really appreciate quality of movement. Yeah, whether you see a carpenter and the way he handles his hammer and his nails or something like that, when he's professional and he really knows what he's doing, I think it's very impressive. Yeah, the rhythm, the timing, and like that every single little move is perfect. I just love it. So I would say that was the first thing that got me into dancing at a very young age already. My family, I would say we're all like music lovers. My mom used to dance in the kitchen where I was supposed to do my homework and I couldn't really concentrate. She showed me my first ballroom steps in the kitchen, and my first cha-cha, and so on and on. My sister got like at a very young age, she's 3 years older than me. She got into disco dancing at the John Travolta era back in the days. So she was going to clubs at a very early age. I remember how my parents were always upset about it. So when she came home, she always taught me the dance steps that she learned in clubs. But I was already at that time, I was roller skating, and a little bit later I was skateboarding, and also always to music. And we always, like we called it freestyle skating. But we were always dancing, so we were looking at choreography at that age already and what we were doing. So
This is in the 70s then?
yeah, late
70s.
70s. That's
Okay.
how I grew into that. And then early 80s in the beginning, when I started, I didn't even know what it was. I started with robot first. So since I was already dancing and stuff, and my sister was doing disco dancing and so on and on, I remember the times when Kraftwerk came out and We Are the Robots, those songs, when that first came out, we all wanted to look like robots. Not that I took it seriously, but those were my first tries, my first movements, and to look like a mechanical man or
Okay,
something.
because the Kraftwerk music was sounding like robots.
Yeah, already.
And
So
then
I mean, because of the music that was hip at that time, it just something there. Also, I remember the Kraftwerk. I remember seeing them on television, and they weren't moving much when they were in concert. And there was this thing where people didn't know, was it really Kraftwerk playing, or was it just some puppets that were standing there, behind the instruments. So that was the start of that. But I think,
it's interesting because Kraftwerk was German, correct?
yeah, exactly.
And
They were
then
from Düsseldorf.
Africa
Yeah.
Bambaataa ended up grabbing them and
Yeah,
sampling
yeah.
them. So there's that weird kind of
Yeah.
U.S.-German connection there.
Yeah, but that was way later, and that connection didn't really, like click until way later. What was very important to me, and with my upbringing, I think, I'm German. I'm from North Germany, and I would say, like, from the beginning, from the moment I got to school, I got confronted more with Germany's past, Second World War, what the Germans did, and so on and on. So I kind of I would say that I was oppressed with guilt for a long, long time, and I still feel it. And everything that was German was just simply bad, no matter what. Yeah, whether I saw the German flag somewhere, like you have the Union Jacks here all over the place. if you would have done that in Germany in the 70s, it was, you would have looked at people different.
Right. They were anti-nationalistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were
Because you
recovering.
knew, like, hey, wait a second, like, are you proud to be a German? Are you a nationalist? Are you even a Nazi? Are you, so none of us, like we could run around with those German army parkers that had the flag on the arm, and in the beginning I was like, well, I don't want to have this, like on my arm, I don't want to have the German flag there. But then my father explained, yeah, but those are the colors of democracy. If you would have the German Reichsfahne, the Hitler flag or something or the Prussian flag, it would be something else. So I was like, oh, so this is okay. He was like, yeah, that's okay. Or then I had a NATO jacket as well, which was cool, But from that moment, and I was 7 years old, 6, 7 years old already, you get confronted with this and you realize, at that age already, I did not want to be German. Yeah. So I asked my dad also when I was 6 or 7 years old, who are the strongest in the world? Who are the strongest people? And he said, the Russians or the Americans. So I was telling everybody I was Russian. And people believed me because my name was Robitsky, So things like that, it's, so it swung along. And so when I learned about hip hop, I won't say that consciously, but, like, on the inside, there was something, of course, like now there's this thing that was invented by Afro-Americans and Latinos. And, the music, everything. So it was multinational. You heard the music. There was free expression. You could dance. You could do whatever you wanted in that frame of, like whatever was culturally invented. It was just so welcoming that, like I dwelled in it from the first second. It was perfect. So already, if you were saying that you were a hip hopper, you could not be associated with that other side, So it was the perfect dichotomy to that nationalism, to, like what we were confronted with.
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.